Hello and welcome to the showcase of Play Your Part, a programme by Mental Health UK and ITN Business.
According to the World Health Organization, the pandemic triggered a 25% increase in anxiety and depression worldwide. It's been a wake-up call for organizations to step up their support, which chimes with Mental Health UK's approach that it shouldn't be seen in isolation.
There are so many other factors that affect our mental health, our housing, our finances, how connected we are with our friends and family. And of course, along comes the global pandemic and proves that truth horribly so, because of course, not only did people have kind of serious problems with their money, they were worried about losing their jobs, they got really disconnected from their families. And of course, throughout that process, the pressure on people's mental health was profound.
Mental Health UK have partnered with a range of businesses to help them play their part in striving to create a society that puts mental resilience on a par with physical robustness, particularly important in an industry like construction.
Well, it's the biggest killer in our industry. So, that's the hard fact. Yet the industry has focused on safety around physical safety. So we really had to rebalance that with mental safety and mental well-being.
Richard says they've seen a real difference in morale since teaming up with Mental Health UK.
They've done everything from training our people in mental resilience, training our mental health first aiders. They've given us advice on things we could do on site.
I think a lot of companies over the last 10 years or so have begun to realise that just in the same way that we made incredible progress around the question of physical health and, importantly, the health and safety agenda at work, if you're not doing the same thing with mental health, then you're not only perhaps putting pressure on your employees, but it really will affect your bottom line as well.
Schroders, a centuries-old global investment company that already offered many employee benefits, decided to implement a more initiative-taking approach to encourage good mental as well as physical health. The company has brought in well-being events, health assessments, online cognitive behavioural therapy, and a 24-hour global support hotline for staff and their families.
Back in 2015 was the first time we launched a wellbeing strategy, and at that point in time we realised we offer a lot of benefits already, gym and health insurance and all of this, but we wanted to elevate what we were offering, not just to help people when they're unwell, but really elevate it to allow them to proactively remain fit, healthy and happy with us.
Recognising how mental health varies so widely, Schroders have taken to science to help identify any underlying issues by measuring heart rate variability. Volunteers wear a monitor for a week to see how their body responds to the myriad stresses and strains of life.
But what this did is it looked at kind of the wider person, like the whole human being, and recognising that what they're doing at home affects what they do at work. And so if you can support people more broadly, then they'll hopefully be stronger as a result, more resilient as a result.
Financial institutions are often seen as places where employees are at high risk of burnout, but the culture is changing. Companies such as HSBC welcomed the concept of mindfulness across the whole of the organisation after it was introduced by Mari, who found it really helped with panic attacks.
When I joined HSBC, I felt that it would be something that might be really useful for other colleagues to practice. And so I started to run some sessions, which went really well in Sheffield. We expanded that out, and before we knew it, we had demand across the UK.
It's now become a fully fledged employee mindfulness programme and has spread throughout the entire organisation, both in the UK and abroad.
This has been designed by our employees and it's been scaled out by our employees across the bank. It's got industry insights, so from either peer companies or specialist mindfulness companies, they've all contributed as well. And the third thing is it's supported by an app infrastructure as well to help colleagues get simple and quick access to this type of information.
Mindfulness can really change the way that our brains operate. So we have something called neuroplasticity, and neuroplasticity really talks to how our brains are able to change through our lives on a daily basis. And when you do sustained, repeated mindfulness, That's exactly what it does. It changes your brain. So it's not just that you feel better, it's that your brain has changed, so the way that you think about things is different.
Meditation helped Fabrizio Campelli cope after a close work colleague died. As a leader at Deutsche Bank, he felt he had to be strong. But he also realised that by setting an example and talking openly about his feelings, he would be helping colleagues who might also be struggling.
Mental health is something you cannot leave at home. You bring it with yourself all the time. It's who you are. And often there was a sense that you needed to hide it. And the point is, just like we cannot hide a broken arm when we come into the office, we shouldn't feel compelled to hide our changes to our own mental well-being. It's who we are.
In further proof of the company's commitment to mental health, its employees have chosen MQ Mental Health Research, the largest mental health research charity in the UK, as the recipient of 2 years' support, including fundraising events in which they hope to raise £2 million.
I've seen senior executives talking about their mental health openly. I've heard staff saying that they've been able to take time out for their mental health and their career has still moved forward. So I think all that proves that Deutsche Bank is serious about the mental health of its staff.
Leaders are also setting an example here at global management technology and consultancy company Accenture, where not only is there a helpline available around the clock, but they've also established several thousand mental health allies across the UK and Ireland, so colleagues can speak openly if they're struggling.
Way more conversation and people being prepared to say, I'm feeling tired, I'm run down, I'm not feeling right. Now, in our world and in the business world, that was something you kind of didn't say. But people aren't seeing it that way, and they're seeing it now as a bit of a sign of strength. That, resilience is hard and I'm open.
We've got our 24/7 helpline that anyone can phone at any time to give access to counselling and therapy services. In our offices, we offer wellbeing consultations, and digitally we offer all sorts of support tools to help people with things like mindfulness, sleeping, and all sorts of specialist areas like breathing techniques and that kind of thing.
A mental health ally here could be a colleague, someone you're familiar with who's ready to listen. Respecting people's well-being also helps retain and attract new staff. Alex joined Accenture at a time when she had just experienced family tragedy.
Tragically, my brother took his own life, and when I joined, I was really in need of support myself. So I heard about the mental health ally training and I went along, and there's an opportunity to listen to other people's experiences during the training, and I realised that I wasn't alone by listening to other people's experiences.
Being different in any way can also make you feel alone. At the Walt Disney Company, one of the world's most recognisable brands, not only do their leaders embrace the importance of supporting everyone's mental health by embedding the discussion into its corporate culture, they also understand that in order to speak openly, you need to feel connected and comfortable with the people around you.
Ultimately, we're a business that has consumers attached to it, and our consumers are every colour, every creed, every shape, every gender, every sexuality, and until you feel represented, you don't feel part of the party.
Trust is a business employee-led resources group, or BERG, and an acronym for the company's mission statement around mental health, encouraging people to talk, so they can recognise, understand and support one another so everyone can triumph. Disney creates a safe space for their employees, who they refer to as their cast members, so they feel they can open up and talk freely about any kind of mental health problem they might be dealing with. The company has also set up a network of mental health first aiders.
We've had 450 of our cast members already go through the training on the programme, and that includes all of our UK leadership team, which is great. I think having mental first aiders around the building and having so many of them is really important.
If I had one hope for the future, it would be that organisations do just take that time to think about how they might be able to do just those little things differently and bring their staff on the journey that could make a huge difference to people's lives.
Mental Health UK is also acutely aware of the increasing financial pressures people are under with the cost of living crisis. They've responded by setting up the Mental Health and Money Advice Service in collaboration with Lloyds Banking Group, which has proved to be a lifeline for many.
I think it's the only UK-wide service that helps people with both mental health and money worries. I think so far over 2 million people have accessed their online support services, and I think over 5,000 people have actually managed to get their finances back on track through using the specialist helpline.
If you take our own mental health and money advice service, the number of people who've called us over the last couple of months has doubled. The amount of debt that people are in because of their gas and electricity bill has doubled. And that is going to trickle through to your GP, potentially people in more serious trouble. So I think we have to think very seriously about the level of support and intervention that people get.
Mental Health and Money Advice, Alex speaking. How can I help?
The service is seeing a surge of referrals as the impact of the post-COVID period, combined with cost of living pressures, is even felt in places with relatively high average incomes, such as Edinburgh.
Wages aren't going up and people are going on strike.
I think people kind of develop an attitude of apathy because it's the only way that they can cope. So there's a lot of despondency and hopelessness.
Now we are facing that kind of crisis where people they could be getting quite a good wage, but again that wage isn't covering the everyday bills, and they just don't know where to start.
Combining financial advice with mental health support, plus collaboration with local partners, has meant that 81% of clients helped by the Mental Health and Money Service saw an improvement in their well-being.
If they can't help you, they'll find some help for you. I see them as friends as well as them helping me. I think to myself, if I didn't have this help and I didn't talk about what I was going through, no, I wouldn't be here now.
Support services for mental health are more vital than ever, but they're also under more pressure than ever. Health tech company Psyomics has created an online assessment that will give mental health clinicians a first insight into the issues patients are facing, meaning they'll be steps ahead when they do meet face-to-face.
This is going to be a great initiative from the service users and carers point of view, because they are not going to wait for that long for initial assessment. So that was the first thing we thought which would benefit our service and carers.
The volume of patients coming to the NHS, for instance, has increased exponentially. The volume of clinicians has not increased at the same rate, and the NHS hasn't got bucket loads of spare money to train people either. So really, it has to turn to technology to help.
The hope is that a digital assessment like Psyomics will speed up the lengthy process of seeing a GP, getting a referral, waiting for the appointment and receiving the correct treatment.
So if the questionnaire collects this information and then I see the patient, I will not have to go with them through it, note it all down and then type it. But that will have been collected, and then I can sit with the patient and talk to them about the things that really sort of are important to the person.
What Psyomics solution allows us to do is to give our service users the option to tell us their story at a time and a place of their choosing. At the moment, they have to do this at the initial assessment, which can at times be stressful for the service user.
Pharmacists have also seen a huge demand for their services. The country's largest pharmacy chain, Boots UK, has seen the role of their nearly 7,000 pharmacists expand to being on the front line of healthcare, helping, supporting and signposting patients, often having to probe more deeply to try to check for mental health issues.
We've seen a big uptick in patients who are more aware of their mental health and mental well-being, and as a result of that are able to talk about it more, but that's not everyone. Some patients really don't feel comfortable talking about their mental health and mental well-being. So actually for us having the ability to ask open questions and be there for them, we can often unlock some opportunities for patients to take the next step in terms of helping them to feel better.
There are a variety of mental health services that patients can access via the Boots Health Hub, including depression and anxiety services once you've been assessed via the Boots online doctor website.
Once you've entered the Boots Online Doctor website, you fill out a comprehensive questionnaire, then you have a clinician consultation, and following that, you work collaboratively on a treatment plan, which could include talking therapies, prescription medication, and also tips for your general mental well-being.
We should all be aware of what we can do to better protect our mental health.
The first is the sort of prevention bit. So, having a good diet, sleeping well, making sure that you are, connected in with your social group, and so on, things like that. The kind of prevention, the basics. Then what do you do if you become unwell or you suspect you're unwell? And of course, that's seek help, talk about it. The change we've seen in the stigma around mental health helps a great deal.
And Mental Health UK will continue to do the work until the stigma around mental health no longer exists.
We hope you enjoyed the showcase of Play Your Part. All the reports are now available in full on the Mental Health UK website. From me and the team at ITM Business, thank you for watching. Goodbye.